Blessed be everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are talking about witchcraft and archetypes and how folklore influences witchcraft, how witchcraft has been a part of folklore and how we can utilize the folklore in our practice. But before we do, I am Sandra from mysterywitchschool.com, author of Crafting Your Wiccan Path. If you want to know more about Wicca, witchcraft, tarot, shadow work, magic, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any videos. And if you want to know where to start your witchcraft practice, but you're just not sure because there's just so much confusion out there, I have a free video masterclass. It's called How to Start Your Witchcraft Practice. There is a link in the description field below this video. And I want to mention as well that at the time of this video, I have 50% off the Confident Tarot Reader course. So that's my course in learning to read the tarot confidently using your intuition. It's 50% off for most of the end of April. So make sure that you grab that discount now. There's a link in the description field below this video for how you can do that as well. Now, when it comes to witchcraft, there's certainly been a lot of mentions of witches in folklore, probably more recent folklore in Western culture, and often witches are often depicted at quite a polarity. Sometimes there's good witches and a lot of the time there's bad witches. But when you look at folklore in general, there's magic in the folklore. There's always magic and mystical beings and archetypal characters that are part of the folklore. And this is something that we as witches work with. You know, we work with mystical beings that are considered mythical. We work with spiritual beings. We work with a lot of the folklore around natural medicines, and a lot of the practices that the ancient people practiced, we bring into our current contemporary life. And it makes our practice quite rich, really, and it's also one of the appealing aspects of the craft. It can also be one of the aspects of the craft that people who are, I guess, more logical or rational in their thinking, who are more atheistic, scoff at as well, because they think we're kind of these airy-fairy people. Which I guess is maybe a step up from being, you know, evil villains or something of, you know, other caricatures. But anyway, I want to talk about 5 of the ways that the folklore influences witchcraft and how it can enrich it. So number 1 is the archetypes in mythology, for example. So the gods and goddesses and the characters in the epics of, say, the Greek mythology, Celtic mythology, Norse mythology. We read about all of the interactions and ordeals and things that a lot of the characters in the myths and the stories go through. And a lot of that's archetypal. A lot of it, particularly with the characters, not so much the gods and goddesses, but the other characters in the epics. They're like, I guess if you're looking at it from a Joseph Campbell point of view, they're very much about the work that we do throughout our life and the experiences that we experience during our life. I mean, they're not as grand usually as the stories are, but those characters and the stories are archetypal. They're about deeper meanings of our quest to know who and what we are, our quest for consciousness, our quest to find the truth, our quest to find who and what we really are. And along the way in these stories, they often encounter magic and magical beings, and nature becomes very, very, very magical and very animated in these. And a lot of that we bring into our rituals. In a lot of more traditional Wiccan covens, a lot of the myths will be kind of acted out, and during Sabbats, for example, to sort of bring back the stories and the archetypal meanings of these stories. And that can give us a lot of information about ourselves. And when we're going through something, so say we're going through trials and tribulation or a dark night of the soul, and we read the myths of maybe Inanna's journey into the underworld, meeting her sister, Ereshkigal, that how she has to take off everything until she gets basically just her naked body down into the underworld in order to face the dark or the shadow self represented by Ereshkigal. And it just shows us that we have to strip ourselves of every adornment, of everything we think is us, to really get to the core of who we really are. And a lot of it we have to strip away, because a lot of what we think we are isn't actually real. It's who we think we are, or who we've been told we are. So we have that, running through our craft, running through our practices and working with deities such as Inanna and Ereshkigal, for example. Number 2, the mythical creatures. These are the creatures that live in the liminal spaces, okay? Yes, we have your dragons, and we have griffins and, unicorns, and you can roll your eyes at all of these. That's fine. It's good to roll your eyes. It's good exercise for your eye muscles to roll your eyes. So roll your eyes as much as you want if you're skeptical. But when we tap into the stories of these mythical beings and what they represent, we can start to see what they're really, truly telling us. And anything that's been told a lot, or any story that is been going a long time, does develop thought forms. It does develop an energy. It does, in very many ways, develop on at least the mental plane images or beings. So if you're looking at it that way, from a energetic viewpoint, yes, dragons are a mental projection. They could very well be something that has been created through our thought forms, or through us tapping into otherworldly beings and, lower astral beings, higher astral beings. We tap into all of that and the stories and the ways that these energies can help us, tapping into our own inner dragon, or our own inner griffin, for example. And I have a big truck coming next door, so I do apologize if there's any noise that you're going to hear, because I really want to finish this video and I don't want to have to stop it for the truck. Okay, so we love to work with the images of these mythical beings, whether they're real or whether they're not. They can teach us a lot about ourselves, and they can give us a sense of having more strength and resilience within ourselves. Number 3 is the seasonal celebrations. Now, these actually come from what people did do back in the day. But a lot of the seasonal celebrations are named after gods and goddesses. So, for example, in Wicca, Beltane is a festival around a god, a Celtic god called Balinus. And so when we're tapping into the various different gods and goddesses and working with celebrations around their days that the ancients would have done, we're tapping into, again, ancient knowledge and connecting with times when people possibly did know a little bit more than we do now. Times before, the Dark Ages, when things got lost. These are things that are really powerful. And so the gods and goddesses are more than just archetypes. They can be archetypes, certainly, but they can also be connections to these aspects within ourselves. When we're working in a ritual, we can tap into and become that energy of the deity. And also a sense that they are part of nature as well. That the goddess, the moon goddess, is the moon. That, Helios, for example, is a sun god, that he is the sun. There's that these are not just like beings that are out there, that these are in everything and including us. And when we're working with mythology and working with gods and goddesses, that's something that we can feel into and take with us. Number 4, the objects and talismans, for example, that we use in magic in general. When you look at folklore, it's full of magical objects. Now take Excalibur, for example, in the Arthurian mysteries, or Ceridwen's cauldron, for example. All of these magical, mystical objects. And that's something that we're inspired by. When we do charge up a talisman and create a talisman for ourselves, we're doing that. We're transferring energy into an object and enlivening the object to have a certain frequency, to vibrate at a certain energy, to bring us something or to shield us from something, tap into our subconscious desires, and to resonate our energy in the world. And this is something that folklore is totally full of. Number 5 is the ancestral wisdom. All cultures from around the world, at least sometime in their history, worked with revering their ancestors, honouring and thanking the ones that had gone before, who we're genetically connected to, who have given us their DNA. The local spirits around us too. So wherever we happen to live, there's local spirits that live in that area as well. So it's about connecting to all the spiritual energies, the nature spirits, the local spirits, our ancestor spirits, to understand that we're not just here alone. It's not just us and maybe the birds and the animals that we can see. It's also the other energies that we can't see, that sometimes we may see out of the corner of our eye. Some people can see them more than others. But it's knowing that everything in nature, everything has energy and has its own voice, its own way of vibrating, its own way of being. And often this is what we call the spirit of nature, is actually the spirits of the trees, of the plants, of the flowers, the spirit of the sun, the spirit of the moon, their energy, their vibration, and their characteristics. So this is how, when you look at folklore, you see all of this come to life. You see the sun maybe speaking, that the sun is sometimes in fairy tales the sun has a face, for example. They become more than just, some sort of cosmic entity. They really embody something that has more meaning, and we utilize this in the craft. We utilize the energy, we utilize the archetypes, the imagery to help us connect more to what's beyond ourselves and also what's part of ourselves at the same time. It's like we're connected and individual at the same time. It's a bit like a paradox, and we utilize this. We simply utilize all of these things. It doesn't necessarily mean that we literally believe in dragons as such, but on an energetic level and on a spiritual level, the dragon energy does actually exist. So it's not taking things literally all of the time. I think that's really what it's about. It's about understanding metaphor. It's about understanding the way that we name things and why we name things the way that we do, and how things present to us. That dragon energy is a particular type of energy, that the energy of, say, elves is a particular energy of those beings, and sometimes they're represented in folklore the way that they are represented. So I feel it enriches what we do, and it's something that I think a lot of people are attracted to. It certainly attracts the childlike quality within ourselves to the craft, and it makes it magical. It makes us feel like we are truly in that magical world. When you look at children, when you talk about magic to children and you read them stories about, magical lands and magical people, their faces light up. They get very excited about it all because they're still there. They're still connected to spirit. They're still connected to these realms. They haven't got that adult brainwashing that occurs. They haven't been us kind of ruined into this really hard line struggle world that we are conditioned into being in. They still have that connection to the spirit world, and the craft can certainly help bring that back into your life. So if you want to learn Wicca and witchcraft with me, I do have a 12-month course. It's called the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. This is where you will learn Wicca and witchcraft right from the very beginning. It sets you up to be practicing it on a daily basis, bringing it into your life so that you can feel and connect back to your spirituality again. You can feel like your life has meaning, that it has purpose, because you're practicing your spirituality, you're connecting to yourself, you're connecting to the goddess and god, and you're connecting to nature. So there's a link in the description field below this video for how you can enroll in the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. As you can see, I have quite a few courses that I have at the Mystery Witch School. And if you like the video, hit the like button, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. I am Sandra from mysterywitchschool.com. Blessed be.